It was an absolutely explosive day of testimony on Capitol Hill today. Going into today's Senate Judiciary Committee hearing, FBI Director Kash Patel faced rare intra-MAGA criticism from right-wing activist Chris Rufo, as well as a lawsuit filed last week from 3 career FBI agents with spectacular and sterling reputations. Add 2 agents who are speaking out to the New York Times today for the first time about how politics has seeped into every Patel calculation and the botched communications around the manhunt for Charlie Kirk's killer, and you have a tinderbox of tension from all sides for one Kash Patel. One of the most supremely important lines of questioning today came from Democrats in their search for answers and accountability, and it had to do with FBI personnel, specifically whether or not any of them were fired for political purposes. Here's Kash Patel's exchange with California Senator Adam Schiff.
Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI, in whole or in part, because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep putting words in my mouth,
well, then
go
let
ahead.
me ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees?
No, I'm asking you a very specific question.
And I'm going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the truth and it guts
want
your
an answer to my question. I don't want an answer to someone else's question.
That's about as well as it went for Kash Patel. That testimony from the director, though, the FBI, that denial, stands in direct contrast and opposition, let's call it Earth 2 testimony, to what former FBI officials are alleging in an incredibly detailed 67-page federal lawsuit. Washington Post pulled this from their suit, quote, Patel then stated that his own job depended on the removal of the agents who worked on the cases against the president, regardless of whether the agents chose to work on those cases or not, end quote. It was one of, but certainly not the only, vital avenue that was explored today by the Senate Judiciary Committee. Later in the broadcast, we'll show you where Patel's answers on Jeffrey Epstein, for instance, ignited passions among lawmakers and the FBI alike. But first, to better acquaint yourself with the tone and tenor of today's hearing, consider this exchange as well between Kash Patel and Senator Cory Booker.
I don't think you're fit to hand the bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country.
Yes, sir. That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to address your falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not
Senator,
take
it is my
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
Only Kash Patel can make one miss Matt Gaetz. Glenn Thrush is bylined on the Times reporting about the fired FBI agents. I should point out, Glenn, though, this reporting today is extraordinary. Everybody should read it. These are 2 additional agents from the 3 agents who filed the lawsuit last week. Tell us their stories.
So these are actually the two agents that we believe played a role in Brian Driscoll and Jensen, the head of the Washington field office, getting fired, because these are the two agents that they stood up for with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who also wanted them fired. So these are two guys, both of them decorated combat veterans. Jensen, who is the pilot, Chris Meyer, who was the Kash Patel's pilot until last month, decorated combat pilot through 350 hours in Afghanistan on 3 different types of aircraft. And then you have Walter Giardina, who did 2 tours in Iraq, was in an intelligence unit that debriefed Taliban leaders, 20-year, 19-career year in the Bureau, who are not at the moment credibly accused of anything other than working on the Jack Smith investigations. In fact, Meyer was falsely accused by a MAGA influencer of going through Melania Trump's underwear drawer during the Mar-a-Lago search, and the guy was on vacation at the time and was not assigned to it. This is the level of kind of discourse we're dealing with here. Both of these guys, and I got to tell you, if you've ever, I'm sure you've spoken to them, Nicole, FBI agents do not, particularly field agents, not supervisors, are not fond of talking to the press, even under duress. So it was a big deal for them to tell us, tell my colleague Alan Foyer and I, exactly how difficult this was on them and how unfair that they felt it was. But Walt Giardina in particular had an extraordinary story. His wife had stage 4 adrenal cancer. She was 49 years old. She had an adverse reaction to chemotherapy that caused her to pace back and forth endlessly. He was spending his days and nights trying to calm her down and comforting her while he was learning that his job was in danger, while he was trying to get the FBI brass to do a due process investigation. My story doesn't address the issue as to whether or not any of the allegations against them are true or false. They claim fairly credibly that they're false. All these two guys wanted was due process, a formal investigation before they were fired. And they hadn't gotten that. And Patel was told about Walter's wife's physical problems. Jensen begged him, and Patel not only ignored that summons, but then fired Jensen to boot.
What did they want? Did they want to stay at the FBI?
Yes, I think this would have been the intention. I think Chris Meyer was perfectly happy flying around on these airplanes. He participated in prisoner transfers overseas. This is the work that these guys were trained for. You know, these were not folks who were aspiring in the political arena or wanted to make a lot of money or wanted to even trade in these jobs for more lucrative private sector gigs. They wanted to spend their entire career in the Bureau. And Walter Giardina was a midshipman. He graduated from the Naval Academy in 1999. He commanded 100 troops in the first Gulf War and was involved in several firefights. And he saw his FBI service, he told me, as an extension of the government service he undertook when he was a midshipman. So these are, these are two individuals who, generally speaking, are the kinds of people that you want in these jobs. Unfortunately for Walter Giardina, he worked on the original Mueller investigation, though he didn't deal with any of the Russia connections. He worked on the Jack Smith January 6th investigation. And perhaps most unluckily of all, he was assigned to arrest Trump aide Peter Navarro on contempt of Congress charges at Reagan Airport in 2023, which Navarro has publicly called him out for. So again, my story doesn't do a fulsome investigation of whether of their behavior. Chuck Grassley claims he's got 2 whistleblowers that say negative things about Giardina, but both of these gentlemen simply wanted a fair hearing, and now they are appealing to a special board in the federal government. And the only reason why they're going to get an investigation in due process, which might actually result in Bongino and Patel being called to testify, is because they were veterans. There's a special provision in the law that allows FBI agents who are veterans to have a due process, whereas if they had not been veterans, they could be fired without a cause.